Frontline did a great report on the destruction of the videotapes that showed CIA torture. Let's watch.
There were videotapes dating back to the summer of 2002.
Hidden in Thailand, videotapes of the interrogation of Abu Zubaydah.
I was told if those videotapes had ever been seen, the reaction around the world would not have been survivable. So the CIA is in a panic. They've got these red-hot videotapes on their hands.
This man, Jose Rodriguez, the CIA's top operations officer, knew how dangerous the tapes were and wanted to destroy them.
Jose Rodriguez wanted to nip it in the bud. He floats this idea of destroying the tapes so they would never come out, and makes everybody nervous. Whoa, wait a second, could that be construed as a criminal cover-up if you do?
Since he'd learned of the tapes, Rizzo had told Rodriguez not to destroy them. Then, disturbing news.
One of my lawyers in the Counterterrorism Center sent me a cable from the facility to headquarters, a very short cable that essentially says, pursuant to headquarters directions, the videotapes have been destroyed. And needless to say, after 25 years of CIA, I didn't think too much could flabbergast me, but reading that cable did.
Jose Rodriguez had ordered the destruction of the tapes. On the 7th floor, they made a decision. They would tell almost no one what he had done.
Okay, there are a few takeaways from that. Number one, they know that what they did was illegal and immoral. They have to know. Because if you entertain that conversation, and you had that conversation, and you came to a conclusion in that conversation about possibly destroying these tapes, on some level you're aware that what was on the tapes was not puppies and rainbows and everybody holding hands and singing Kumbaya. You know, there are some serious things on those tapes that can absolutely bring you down. So that's takeaway number one. These guys, on some level, they know that they really were the bad guys, or they morphed into the bad guys. The second thing is, the media has to do a better job of covering this and stuff like it. They absolutely have to. These are tremendous stories. These are huge stories. The media drives the narratives in America. And unfortunately, this stuff, doesn't get covered as often and with the same kind of moral tone and implications as things get covered if the enemy is the other guy. So when the enemy happens to be the state, when we are the bad guy, it's a footnote. Hey, look, we droned a grandma who was picking vegetables in Pakistan. Whoops! Anyway, moving on to our next story. Let's talk about the score of the game this Sunday. I mean, unfortunately, we kind of gloss over it when we fuck up and when we are the terrorists. When it's somebody else, okay, we can spend 3 days harping away on the same points and talking about how this is a systemic issue and we need to stop it and we need to address it. But when we are the bad guys, you don't see that nearly as much. And then number three, the American people need to wise up. When we see pictures or videos, we get outraged. So take Abu Ghraib, for example. When we saw the torture pictures from that, there was a true grassroots uprising, this movement of like, whoa, what are you doing in our name? This is what you're doing in our name? This is us? This is the American people. This is our military, our army, our intelligence forces, and we're basically doing Nazi-style torture? What are you, fucking insane? Not with my money, tough guy. So we stood up and we were all angry. We were all outraged. And it wasn't just even liberals. It was some conservatives, too. Some true libertarians stood up and said, are you kidding me? This is not what the founders had in mind. The Constitution does not allow this. This is illegal under international law. Everybody was angry for all these different reasons. But the problem is, when the anger subsided from the Abu Ghraib pictures, there was never a second round of anger based off of just the torture report, for example. or talking about it or reading about it. For whatever reason, I don't know why, the American people need to see pictures or video. If it's not in picture form or video form, well, maybe it didn't happen even though we know it happened. I mean, Ray Rice is another example of this. Everybody heard about it and they knew what Ray Rice did, and he got punishment for it. But then when we got the video, everybody was like, oh, I'm outraged. You knew that he did that. We had the facts of the case. Everybody was aware. Oh, but you just had to see it in order to get actually outraged at it. Same thing with what we do, what our intelligence agencies do, what our military does. You can hear about it all you want from people like me talking about it, but until you see it, you don't really get angry or feel it. So with Abu Ghraib, we were mad, but now with the newest torture report, it's, for maybe a week, it was discussed in the mainstream media, and it was debated in the mainstream media. It wasn't even like, moral indignation and look at what we've done. What have we become as a nation? We're violating all these different laws and the Constitution. No, it was debated. They had Dick Cheney on to say, I'm for it. No, when I say the American people need to wise up, I mean we need to look at those situations. We need to look at this kind of thing where we're just reading it or hearing about it. We need to get just as outraged as if we saw it with our own two eyes. Listen to some of the things we did. Sleep deprivation, waterboarding, use of diapers, use of insects, mock burials, hypothermia torture where one guy died and that guy was innocent. We threatened family members. Right to these people's faces, we'd say, oh yeah, we have your sister, we're going to rape her. This is the United States of America. This is our country. They did anal feeding. Remember that? That's just another way of saying anal rape, and then they pumped liquid food in people's asses. Again, this is our country. This is in the torture report. But we got a week of debating it in mainstream media as opposed to universal outrage and indignation about the fact that we committed war crimes, absolute war crimes. So the overall takeaway here is your actions define you. You are what you do.